Hello and welcome to our channel. Today we're with Elizabeth Huxtable. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Gordon. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Elizabeth is originally from Australia. She's living in Malaysia and she does some incredible healing work. So the reason that we're together is to talk about that. And Elizabeth's going to explain everything about what she does. So why don't you give us a little bit of, because you're a sound therapist, is that right, originally? Yeah. So give us a little bit of background about you.
So originally I was a scientist, a research scientist, and then a school teacher. I taught maths in school, but my therapies were always my hobby and just what I did on weekends and evenings. And over the years, I learned more and more different techniques. And it was really only when my daughter passed away and I really needed to heal. And so I accelerated my search for things that were going to help me and came across energy psychology techniques, EFT, emotion code. And actually, the last thing I discovered was sound healing. And because I was a musician, it's just like the healing and the music together was the perfect fit for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you play specifically? What instruments?
A little bit of this and that, flute, guitar. I learned keyboard, like piano, when I was a kid, but not a great pianist.
Okay.
I'm not really good at any of them, but I love to play music. And now that I'm using my flute as a sound healing tool, I play it in a very different way than I did when I was playing as a musician, yeah.
Okay, so you've described the pathway of EFT, the emotion code, which I love as well. It's sound healing is not something that I've got into. Can you kind of explain on what premise does it work?
It's working with the vibrational energy of the sound. So all the sounds are creating these vibrations, and our body is very receptive to sound. Sound travels through water and bone more easily than through air. So we don't just experience it like through the ears. The cells are filled with water. The bones conduct the sound through the body. And so it's very different from music therapy, which is a form of psychotherapy. This is purely an energy technique. So
Okay.
that's it's working, yeah.
I recall when I lived in Mexico, I used to go to a San Marcos fair, and they had big speakers there, like as big as houses. And I remember I used to be dancing, and my whole body would be vibrating. I mean, literally, my whole body. And I was singing. I don't think this is a good thing. I suppose it depends on the sound and the vibration. Yeah.
Yes, it's very dependent, because there are some sounds that are very beneficial for our bodies and others that are quite detrimental. Industrial noise is very bad for our bodies. Particularly continuous sounds, the same sound over a very long period of time. Sound is a bit like vitamins. We need a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If we get too much of one thing, it's not good. Even a good sound, if you just have too much of it, it's in the end, it's not good for you.
Okay. So, how does it work, the sound therapy that you do? How do you do it with your clients?
Yeah, I do both group sessions and individual sessions. So the group sessions, everyone lies down. We call it a sound bath because they're bathed in sound. And I play a variety of instruments. I've got crystal bowls, gongs, xylophones, metal bowls, drums, things like this. And I'm just guided I tune into the group energy and what the group needs. I am guided, and the instruments actually talk to me. The gong will go, hey, they need me. And then when I get to the gong, how loud do I need to do it? The gong tells me, because the instruments are actually interacting with the energy of the group. And they sound different with different people because they're responding to what the people need. Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah. And so that's your sound therapy. Do you do that it presentially, or can you do that online as well?
I tend not to do group sessions online because of the difficulty with microphones picking up the whole set.
Yeah.
I do individual sessions online because there I'm placing things on a person's body. It's kind of in one contained area. And so I just put a holographic image of the person on my massage bed, and I place the things there. And so it's all contained, and so the microphone can handle it.
Okay.
But generally, for online sessions, I do a different technique, and it's called biofield tuning. This is working with tuning forks in this electromagnetic field that we all have around us. And Eileen McCusick discovered, quite accidentally experimenting with tuning forks, that when she moved the fork through someone's field, it would pick up kind of pressure waves that she determined corresponded to traumas that have happened in their past. And things at the very edge of the field, which is about up to 2 meters away from the body, are things that happen at birth or even in the womb. Then as we move closer to the body, it's things more recent. And so you can actually give a person an idea of the approximate age when you've found something. And it's the most powerful form of sound therapy I've come across so far, because it really finds those deep traumas and helps to release them.
Wow, really interesting. And how does how do you know when you've hit an area? What does the tuning fork do?
Yeah, it feels, firstly, the volume of the fork drops. So you can tell by that, but it feels like a pressure wave. It feels like you can't move the fork there.
Okay, yeah.
So you actually hold the fork just behind that spot so that it's at its loudest, and you keep repeatedly hitting it, and then it dissolves that distortion, and then you can move the fork further in. The idea is that fragments of us dissociate when we can't cope with the trauma that's happening. A little bit of us dissociates and ends stuck out in the field. So I'm gathering those pieces back one by one, and I put them back in the body.
Beautiful, lovely. It sounds yeah, I resonate with a lot of resonate. That's a pun intended with a lot that you're saying, and I do it in a different way with hypnosis, but the idea is exactly the same: is to recover those fragmented pieces and make the person whole again, or help the person to become whole again. Right. So that's your sound healing, but there's more that you do, isn't it? Isn't there something you've been given?
Yes. And so this is a combination of different things that I learned, and I was kind of inspired to create this modality, I guess you could refer it to it, where I combine 4 or 5 different things. And it started with a friend introducing me to spirit surgery. And he said that all I needed to do was contract to place my hands on a person for a particular period of time, say 15 minutes, and call in the spirit surgeons, and that they would do whatever the person needed. I just was a conduit. I didn't have to know what they were doing. I was just a conduit. And what would happen is, occasionally, I'm not clairvoyant per se, but sometimes I'd have my eyes closed while I was holding the person, maybe on the shoulders or on the feet or whatever. And I would see in my mind's eye ETs working on the person. Maybe they had digestive issues. I'd see a little group of them working on the person's digestive abdomen. And then after, they go, oh, gee, I feel a lot better. I don't have any discomfort there anymore. So I started to think, okay, sometimes these spirit surgeons are actually ETs. And then when I just learned about the idea of med beds, which I'm still a bit skeptical whether they physically exist or not, but I listened to a channeling by this Canadian lady describing these med beds as having been a gift from ETs. And they showed pictures in the video of these kind of like perspex tubes or clear tubes that people would lie in. And it mentioned there's 3 different kinds that do different sorts of things. Because of my training in biofield tuning, working with holographic images at a distance, and it's just as effective as doing the biofield tuning in person.
Yeah.
I thought, what about a holographic image of a medbed? And so I was working with some Afghan refugees who've been quite traumatized and they're living in Malaysia. And I thought, gee, one of the things these medbeds do is wipe away trauma from the past. And so I would put them, imagine they were in the medbed while I'd be holding them, and they were getting a lot of relief. And so I thought, okay, I think this works. And so then some friends said to me, because I did a session for them, they were sound healers in Australia, and I started experimenting with distance sessions, because you're not really supposed to do it. You're meant to actually make contact with the person. But they said, just try it, and it worked. And they said, why not make sure you're getting high dimensional ETs, not just any old ETs. So they suggested adding that you want to call in spirit surgeons from the 9th dimension and above, who are experts in medbed technology. So I just started to say this at the beginning, and I would say, okay, I'm going to maintain contact for the next 15 minutes. If the person's not there, I use a cushion to represent their body and just hold that. And people were reporting really big changes in themselves with me doing these 15-minute sessions. So I felt I wanted to teach other people, but I was really reluctant to mention the fact that I'm using spirit surgeons who are ETs. And so it's like I didn't know how to broach this, because the people in Malaysia, they're a little bit they're quite religious. There's a whole lot of religions in Malaysia, but everyone's pretty much follows one of them. And so I was a little bit worried if they knew what I was doing, that would be a bit of a turn-off. So I haven't been sharing this far and wide. I got a few clients that I felt would be open to this, and they came around, I taught them all, they started doing it on each other, and it worked. So I'm kind of thought your group would be open to this, and it would be lovely to share it with them.
For sure. I think in our group, you know, these kind of subjects are fascinating for everybody. You know, we don't, what I get the sense is nobody poo-poos anything. Everybody's open to everything, you know?
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing that you've said that hasn't been formed part of conversations. You know, a lot of conversations, a lot of people are talking about ETs, and a lot of people talking about, you know, the dimensions, and, you know, so, and med beds as well, of course.
Yeah. I thought, why bother with all the expense and trying to get hold of these things that may or may not physically exist at the moment? Just use the holographic image. It works. We don't need the physical thing. It's free. You can do it anywhere at any time. Yeah.
Here we are. So how would you like to, because you're saying you would actually like to share this technique with people.
Yeah.
How would you like to take that forward? What are your thoughts?
Well, I've put together a sheet of instructions, a PDF instruction sheet, which I'm really happy to share far and wide with anyone who would like it. And if people wanted to have a go online of me guiding them through, if they've got somebody there, well, actually, it doesn't even need to be. If they've got a pillow or a cushion, they can send it distance as well. Then, you know, I could just maybe do a little class. It doesn't need to take very long. Or they could just follow the instruction sheet and see what happens.
Sure.
And maybe they don't even need my input. Yeah. But I will tell you, because I overlay several things. So the other thing I decided to do was, because I've got these crystal singing pyramids,
Oh, wow.
And they're based on the dimensions of the Egyptian pyramids. And the power spot of the pyramid is a third of the way up from the center.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that this little upturned bowl is the right height to be a third. So I actually placed the bowl in the center and I put the person's name or photo on the bowl. So they're actually getting pyramid energy at the same time as during the session.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the liberty of writing your name on a piece of paper, and if you give me permission, I'll put your name inside the pyramid and see whether maybe you feel anything.
Yes, please put me
Okay.
inside of the pyramid. So
All
is the
right.
pyramid, does it give off sound, or is it the energetic?
No, this is just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's just because I have got these pyramids that I used it. It doesn't have to be a crystal pyramid. So someone could make a model from wooden sticks or plastic or anything really, as long as it's the dimensions, the right angles. So just tune in now and see whether you can, sense I can feel something.
Mm. So what am I feeling in my body? I'm feeling tingliness in my body, like an energetic vibration type of feeling. And when I'm breathing, it feels a bit, I don't know, it feels a bit tight when I'm breathing, but I don't know if that's got anything to do with it, but. And what will this do for me?
It's giving you healing energy.
Cool.
It's as if you're in the Great Pyramid in the King's Chamber.
Yeah.
That's that kind of energy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I do that at the same time as the Medbed session.
Bed session. Yeah.
And also, because I'm a Reiki practitioner, I add Reiki in as well. So you can multi-layer it, whatever skills you might have in other kinds of healing, just put them in as well while the person's on the medbed.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what I was thinking was what might be nice, if what we can do is in the video information, we can put your contact email, if that's okay. And then people can contact you, and if they're show interest, there might be enough to have a small group where you could coach a small group. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think everybody who watches this channel, not everybody, but many people are always looking for alternative strings to the bow in terms of what they do. And most people that watch are in some kind of healing. You know, there's a lot of people who are in healing.
Yeah.
So lovely.
And I've found through experimenting that 15 minutes seems to be the optimal time to be in the medbed. It seems like I sense the energy just drops away after about 14 and a half minutes. It just seems to fade away. So I tend to do 15-minute sessions.
Okay. Okay. Lovely. That sounds. And how long have you been this new process that you do in the Medbed process? How long have you been doing that? It
started 3 years ago. No, it must have been earlier, because I was still seeing the Afghan refugees in person. So it was probably just prior, probably 2019.
Okay.
And then I got the idea, once we couldn't meet in person, I thought, let's try it as a distance session.
Sure.
And I had them at the other end. I'd be talking to them. But then it seems like there's silence. I'm just sending energy. I'm not actually needing to talk to them. So now we just appoint a time, and the person, I just suggest to them, lie down at that time. I'll send the energy for 15 minutes. And at the end, I just send them a little message with a report, what I found, what I experienced, any suggestions I have for them. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's interesting that, I think the 3 years that we've just gone through have been very, very traumatizing years for the world, really, for everybody, and for us, particularly those when you know it's actually probably a little bit more traumatic than if you just went through blindly. But I see so many positive things that have come from this. And
Yes.
in terms of people connecting, the amount of connections that I've got now after 3 years that I didn't have before is incredible. And well, we've got no choice but to talk to people through this medium, and suddenly the world opens up. So it's been a tremendous benefit, I think.
Yeah.
Why do you think you're not the only person that I've talked to who's been receiving kind of ideas about how to help people, being drawn to helping people? Why do you think there's so much of it going on now?
Yeah, I truly believe we're at a pivotal time in human history, and I absolutely know that I contracted to be here to be part of this shift. And all the things I've done throughout my life, all the different varied things I've done, it feels like it's all coming together now, all the skills I gained, so that right now I can do my bit to help humanity take this next step. And I think many other people are feeling the same way. And so that's why I think I was gifted this idea of combining these things, because it really does help with the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
The biofield tuning as well really helps with the trauma. Now, that again, I was just before all these lockdowns, the instructor asked me to come to Australia early to do the practitioner level training. I should have waited 6 months from the foundation. She said, look, you're so experienced, just come and do it. And I thought, well, I was only there a month ago, but I thought, oh no, just go. I got that qualification. I got fully certified in time to do all this distance healing when suddenly I couldn't see anyone in person. So I really, if you trust these urges, you are guided how best to help. And yeah, so.
Absolutely. And what do you think when you say we're at a pivotal moment? Where are we pivoting from and where are we pivoting to, in your opinion?
It's a change of, well, I feel the earth itself, the vibration of Mother Earth is rising. And so I believe that we have to change our vibration as well. And I mean, I don't know about all the terms fourth, fifth, but I'm going with fifth because that's what everyone talks about. But I feel like that's what's happening. We're moving into this other dimension, and we can't take all these traumas with us. We have to let go of the past so that we can just move into this next direction, which is where there's not going to be all this duality necessary anymore. And so that's why people need so much help, because particularly already there's so many traumas in our childhood and our youth, but everyone's been traumatized for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And so it's added on to all the other traumas. So trauma, I think, is our biggest issue to deal with in whatever way we can. And I've been working on myself during the time. One of the practitioners in Australia has been doing many biofield tuning sessions with me, clearing all my traumas as well. And so that's really helping me to be ready to help a lot of others.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I have had exactly the same feeling, the same message as you've just mentioned, which is for us to go where we've got to go, we must drop some baggage. We must leave that baggage behind, because that's 3D heavy baggage that we've got to leave behind. And that was one of the reasons why I started to offer courses, because I thought we're going to need to help a lot of people with trauma.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful is, you can do it in your way. I can do it in my way, but it really doesn't matter. We just need to get ourselves ready.
Yeah.
Or as the emissaries call it, the great healing that's upon us now, but it's coming in a big way soon, I think, as well.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, and it's like let's get ourselves sorted. And it's the same with the course that the emissaries have asked me to do, which is working with the ego. And it just ties in beautifully with what you're saying, because the ego's been traumatized as well. We've got a traumatized ego, and we've got to help it to ascend to become much more than what it is, which is that old heavy energy, which it's not working for us anymore.
No.
You know? So yeah, I think it's like all hands on deck to get ourselves sorted, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. So if somebody wants to get in contact with you, I'll put the information in the video information.
Right.
If somebody would like a session with you, again, they can just contact you through your email, yeah?
Email or through the Telegram. Everyone message me through the Telegram.
Okay.
Well, that's fine.
You're in Peaceful Rebellion, yes? You're in the group,
Yep.
on you, so they can find you. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. So Elizabeth, when we were talking, you mentioned you were going back to Australia to do a book launch. What's that about? What book?
Yes, it's a book called Lessons from Lucy, and it's a memoir of my life with my daughter who had severe disabilities, and all the things that I learned from her that helped me completely change my outlook on life. And she passed away 16 years ago, and it's taken me a lot of courage to actually share what I learned with the world and bring this really painful time of my life. But it's also inspiring, hopefully, for others, because I worked my way through all of the pain, all the grief and the loss, and out the other side. And that is what drew me to learn all the different healing techniques that I have, was to heal myself from that experience. And so by waiting a while to write the book, I've actually been able to look at the events in a different frame and see so much more that I learned than at the time when I was going through it.
Yeah, for sure. And you're going back to Melbourne, is that right?
Yes, I'm going to be doing a launch there and in Brisbane. Yeah.
Okay. And do you know where? Have you got the location in your mind of where you're doing the book launch?
The first launch will be in country Victoria. We didn't live in Melbourne. We lived in a little town called Daylesford, which is in the Central Highlands. And so that's where I'm going to do the first launch. And that's where there'll still be hopefully some people who went to school with Lucy when she was alive.
Okay.
They will be about 25, 26 by now. And so it's going to be in a beautiful place, the Convent Gallery, and I'm really looking forward to that. In Brisbane, I'm going to a sound healing centre, Love Light Crystal Temple, and so I'm going to do the launch there, including a sound bath.
Lovely. I wanted to mention it just in case anybody's in the local area that might want to come and meet you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Lots of people who watch these videos are from Australia. Obviously, it's a big place. Yeah. Who knows? Yeah. Who knows? Okay, well, excellent. And is this something that you published yourself, or have you gone through a publishing company?
I was accepted by Manor House.
Wow.
I was put a contract, and when you sign the rights away to your book, you also give them the go ahead to market it any way they want. And they've chosen Amazon, they've chosen Kindle, they've chosen Audible, all these corporate, organizations that I don't really agree with. But anyway, that's how you can get it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's how you get your message out. Sometimes you've got to ride on the back of the devil. We're all heading in the same direction anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Okay, well, I wish you every success with that, and I'm sure that'll be writing. I remember writing my first book. It took me 4 or 5 years to write it. That was about my traumatic experiences as a Jehovah's Witness, but it was incredibly therapeutic. The process. isn't it? Of going through each traumatic step and laying it out and thinking about it and analyzing it.
It's been so healing for me to do this book. Yes.
Sure. Absolutely. And for sure it'll be healing for other people who read it as well. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you. Elizabeth, what do we need to know? What words of wisdom have you got to share with everybody before we finish?
Well, everything that happens, we can look at it as a gift. Every thing that might look like it's an adverse event, there's a gift in it for us. And so look for the gifts and you will find them. And all the hardship that we go through is actually honing us to be more effective helpers in this transition. So yeah, that's what I can think of to say.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I agree 100%. Yeah. Everything that, in fact, it's the tough things that actually make us what we are. And the nice things are just to give us a little breather in between the tough things. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that's beautiful. Well, Elizabeth, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for being part of this great healing that's happening now. And I'll put all of your details in the information as well so people can find you, okay?
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, okay? And we'll speak again maybe in a little bit in the future, yeah? You can give us some feedback.
Okay, great.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.